what was it completely that opened your eyes? Because there's people that will, like, you could give them all the evidence in the world, but they'll reject it because they want to worship their lifestyle of sex, their lifestyle of drinking, their lifestyle of this. What was your pivotal moment, and what would you give to your enemies and your friends to just give them that information? Because I think, and this is just from my point of view, I think that's when you started really just taking off.
So I'll give you a complete curveball here. What percentage of her past do you know?
A lot of it. I mean, I would say like almost all of it.
Do you think you know 100% of it?
I would believe I do, on the aspect of, in this relationship, the one who runs it is the Lord. So I can never judge her for her past. I can never judge her for her future.
Okay. What percentage of your past you think she knows?
Every single bit of it.
Okay, fine. I'm convinced if you think you know all of it, you have a God complex yourself. Let me explain.
No,
you
fair.
can push back and I'll give you my point of view. So when you're marrying somebody, you know, a man wants to know what? Everything. Why? We're insecure, we're protective, we're territorial. We have this natural, like, hey, you're mine. Like, hey, I want to make sure. I need to know, like, what happened with that guy and how many this.
I don't want to walk into a place and be embarrassed.
Totally get it.
Yeah.
And then later on in my life, what if stories come up and then I'm going to be embarrassed and da-da.
Yep.
These are all valid concerns that a territorial man will have. Totally innocent that we have. Okay. You can go back and forth with that in your mind, saying, I'm not getting married until I know 100% of the stuff. You ain't never going to get married. You're just never going to get married. So what's the moral of the story there? Okay, I'm the guy that has to know everything. Well, now I got a problem because it's not going to happen to me. I'm the mathematician. I'm the freaking math guy. I'm the angle guy. I'm the counting every light in a place. I'm the guy that's counting how many Celsius, I'm the guy that's counting how many lines goes all the way down, having a conversation with you. I'm counting those little buttons in here in that corner to see how many the buttons. Is it 9 or is it 12? I'm just kind of go, I'm that guy, right? So everything with my brain, the reason why I love math is because I can use Pythagorean theorem to get an answer to a formula that's the definite answer, not the maybe answer, not the 99% answer. So I have a problem with faith for a guy like me because I'm not gonna know 100%.
So it was a nurture thing. Weren't taught faith when you were younger.
No, I was taught faith when I was younger, but I was the guy that got kicked out of Bible study in a Syrian church in Iran and Tehran, where they kicked me out. They're like, you know, you're asking too many questions. This is not what we're going to have. You got to get out of the class. And they kicked me out. I said, I'm not a Christian, guys. Told my mom and dad they were disappointed. I said, listen, I'm not going to go believe in this God that if he loves us so much, why are we getting bombed so many times? Why we get bombed 160 sometimes in a single day? Yeah, I'm not good with this. I don't believe God exists. All these people are dying for what? Over what? What are we dying over? So I was that guy that fought back. So anyways, going back to the question you're asking with faith and how the decision was made, no matter how much I read of Lee Strobel, Case for Christ, if I read C.S. Lewis, you know, Mere Christianity, Cost of Discipleship, give me every book I could get my hands on from Billy Graham as to 4 different, God is either this, or he's that, or he's this, or I'm going to go read this guy and read the Scientology argument of Christianity, and I'm going to see the debate of this Muslim of Christianity on why this, and this guy that before Christianity on the Indian religion that did the same exact thing was married. I can go all of that stuff. And even if I do my entire lifetime, I'm not going to read all that material. So eventually there's going to come a point in your life that you're going to have to take certain risks in your life. There is risk to staying single, big risk. If I tell you right now, I'm looking at Dylan, my 9-year-old son, and he says, Dad, you know, what would happen if the war doesn't happen in Iran and Iran was at peace? I said, brother, I got to tell you this, Dilly boy, in a weirdest way, I'm glad it happened. Why, Daddy? Because I can't imagine life never meeting you. You've changed my life, Dilly. I said, I can't imagine life not meeting you. Our 4th kid, Brooklyn, she's 2 years old. She's went to school for the first time this week. We didn't want to have a 4th kid. We were good with 3. One day my wife comes home, says, crying. I'm like, what are you crying for? She says, I want another baby. I said, what are you talking about? I want 20 more babies. What are you talking about? I want another baby. We get pregnant. She gets pregnant. While she's pregnant, we're in Jekyll Island. We're testing. We're going 1 o'clock in the morning to the gas station, testing all this stuff. We're coming back, and she's pregnant. We go to the doctor. You're having twins. No way. Yes. We're expecting twins. Then we go back in the 11th week, one of the kids doesn't make it. And one of the kids before that told us that one of them is Down syndrome. So guess what? We don't know which one didn't make it. So now we have to have a baby, and we're watching videos late at night, raising kids, Down syndrome baby in a family, how the kids react. And for 30 days in bed, we're laying next to each other. It's almost, you're running a company. You have to still be there present for your kids. You have to motivate your guys. You have to run your thing. You have to do this. You have to do that. And you're sitting there saying, babe, man, this is a curveball, man. Baby's born.
Tough.
We have no idea what's going to happen with the baby, okay? Coming from a guy that has to know 100% because I'm a guy that takes calculated risks. Here's what I learned. When it comes down to marriage, everything's about odds. You don't know what's going to happen. You could change. She could change. As long as you have, your faith in God and you do your part, your best, and she does her part, you guys go 1 year at a time, you're increasing the odds. But it's still not going to be 100%.
Yeah, of course.
Kids, same way. You're going to have kids, the fear of kids. You got miscarriage, you got this, you got that, you got this. There is risk. What if you only have daughters? 4 kids, it's all daughters. What are you going to say? I want a son. What if you only have boys? You never have a daughter. It's God's plan for you. There's certain things in life.
It's out of your hands.
It's out of your hands. So faith, marriage, kids, these areas, I don't want to control. As a control guy, I don't want to control those specific areas. So the person you're talking about that's 23, 24, 25, there is a risk to staying single, and it's a massive risk. There's a risk to getting married. I'm willing to say with all the BS people keep talking about that there's risk to be married, there's more risk staying single than there is to get married.
Of course.
Yeah.
There is more risk. You have the risk of being an atheist, not believing in God. Don't worry about it. It is a risk. It is a greater risk to be an atheist than to believe in God. Why? I'm talking to Joe on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and this conversation came up, right, about faith and all this stuff. And Joe has his own philosophies, and when he has all these different people, there's a reason why he's loved, because he'll talk to everybody about it. I said, look, right now with what's going on, you know who the establishment, people of power hate historically? Guess who they've hated? People who are hopeful, people who are faithful, people who have the faith to believe the future looks bright. You can't control those types of people. It's a very weird dynamic. Their eyes are different. There's fire in those eyes. You know what the eyes look like when somebody is hopeless or doesn't have, it's like so faithless? You know what their eyes look like? Defeated.
Yeah,
bitter.
broken.
You can control them.
Yeah.
You can push them around. You can bully them. Good luck bullying
Somebody who has faith.
somebody who has faith or is hopeful. So to me, the 24, 25 years old, when circling back to the whole choose your enemies wisely, when I saw that opportunity, when I saw what it did to my belly, and I noticed that fire didn't go away, because a lot of times you'll get a motivational speech from a conference, you're motivated for 3 days, and in 3 days you're like, dude, I forgot, life sucks. And then, but this one, this enemy, brother, I'm 44, that was 23, 21 years ago. The level of fire I have today is 10 times more than it was then, and I was a lot. So that is the ability to choose your enemies wisely. Of course, that's the title of the book, but a part of the book is also you got to choose your allies wisely. You need the right enemies, but you need the right allies. My allies I need is the man upstairs. That's the ultimate ally I need.
Amen.
I got a few other allies that I need to have, but a person with the right enemy, sometimes we'll disclose it to people, sometimes we will not. Sometimes it's somebody that only you know about, but you don't want to advertise it. And you'll all of a sudden see someone and say, man, that guy already has all the money in the world. That guy already drives a nice car. Why is a guy that's worth $300 billion named Elon Musk, what are you doing? You can buy you can buy a state. You can buy a small country. You can buy Belize and name it Muskland. You can go do whatever. What are you doing? How many more billion-dollar companies do you need to build? Do you need to go to space? What's the point? And then you kind of pull it back and you're like, oh, okay, that's his dad. Got it. I got it. And that's his mom. Totally get it. We know who the enemy is. Great. He may not talk about it, but that's a drive. And by the way, we can say this about a lot of names at the top. They chose their enemies wisely, and you just hope it's not the wrong enemy that eventually destroys you. So you have to be very selective on which enemies you choose.
It's such a wise concept to really be aware of your enemies, because I think you unconsciously make the wrong people in your life enemies. As you said, you try and compete with your siblings, or you try and compete with your kids, or people that should be there should never be your enemy, right? So when you're saying that, it was like, wow, like as soon as you're aware of that, you can stop yourself from kind of making those mistakes and realizing, okay, who am I really fighting against and who am I really fighting for?
It's easy to yell at your family because you're comfortable with them. And then you know that they would forgive you if you guys had a conversation. It's a good